So one guy that saw this up in personal, Mr. Pick and Roll, checking in bright and early. I know it was a long night, Coach, for you there after Game 1, but what did you see between CP3 and Devin Booker getting this done against the Bucks in Game 1?
Well, both of those guys were just, terrific. And let's start with CP3. He was the little maestro on the floor last night, calling most of the plays. Monty Williams talked a lot about it in the postgame, that when you have a head coach and a point guard that's really synchronized in terms of the messaging to the team, the offensive flow, strategy, play calls, that's an unbelievable recipe for success. And then Devin Booker, just a shot maker. Now, he wasn't as efficient from the three-point line last night. He was 1 for 8. But, 10 for 10 from the free throw line. They really attacked Milwaukee's bigs, especially in that middle pick and roll, or they attacked Milwaukee's bad defender. So just take your hats off. Devin Booker, Chris Paul combined for 59 points. Booker, again, probably was a little bit of a B+. Chris Paul was an A+. But when Booker is an A+ and Chris Paul's an A+, I don't know if anybody can beat him.
When you talk about those numbers here, 30 and 9, and we're talking about a debut, the first type of numbers like that since MJ did it back in '91 for CP3. He's mentioned before he was locked in before this game, just watching Coach kind of run this offense. How much of a leader did you see in him in this, as we've seen throughout the rest of the playoffs and even in the regular season, kind of at this moment taking over a little bit?
Well, this is his moment. This is his season. I remember giving a speech to a team years ago when I said the title of the speech was "Seize Every Second of the Season." And that's what Chris Paul is doing. He's seizing every second, every moment. He had a little bit of a setback when he was in health protocols for 2 games at the start of the Western Conference Finals. But he's leading. His body language is good. He's not complaining to the referees on every call, which I think is a bad role model for young players on your team. And then once he gets his 3-ball going, to go with the mid-range and all of his other assists, at 9 assists, only 2 turnovers. He's had games where he's had 9 assists and no turnovers. Chris Paul is unstoppable once he gets his 3-game going.
He wasn't the only one unstoppable there for the Suns there. Deandre Ayton, 22 and 19, 4th player in finals history to record those type of numbers, at least 20, 15, and 80 from the field. What did you see from the big fella there battling with Giannis a little bit?
Well, yeah, Deandre Ayton has just been so impressive. People talked about, when he was the first pick in the draft, was he worth it over Luka and Trae Young? Is he a max player? I mean, he's answering all of those. And those questions, it's rolling in the right place. Big guy with unbelievable footwork, balance, catching the lobs from both Booker and Chris Paul, right place at the right time, rebounding, battling inside with Giannis. And Giannis couldn't have had a worse matchup against Deandre Ayton. Just ask guys like Anthony Davis, who he battled against, and all of the other big guys in the Western Conference. So, again, this is just one game for the Suns, but the Suns are just too deep. 6 players in double figures, guys like Cam Payne and Cam Johnson coming off the bench, Mikal Bridges throwing in threes when you need it. This team is just a very deep, well-balanced team.
On the flip side, Coach, you got to give your hats off to Giannis returning after that hyperextended knee, 20 and 17, played 35 minutes. Are you surprised what he was able to do in that chunk of time there and at least give his guys some type of momentum, at least going to Game 2?
Yeah, I think we all were a little bit surprised because, they were playing low gamesmanship in terms of his injury prognosis. And he went from questionable to doubtful, from back to questionable. So it just was a little gamesmanship. I'm sure he had gotten in, 2 or 3 practices during this stretch, especially during the Hawk series. And, he built a lot of confidence with his staff where they felt comfortable with him playing in the game. But a little bit surprised, but at the same time, Giannis is a warrior, and these guys know that they may not ever make it back to a finals. Either team, you just never know. Teams will always say, well, especially the losing team, well, let's come back next year and let's run it back. Or the winning teams will say, let's try to repeat. But you just never know. There's too many extenuating circumstances that can lead to a team's downfall the following year. So I believe Giannis is saying, hey, let's go get it. Give me some medicine, round-the-clock treatment. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get in here and give it a go. And he did fairly well overall, considering he had been out for a while.
You look at the Bucks, their calling card this postseason has been able to battle in the post with a Bobby Porter, say Giannis, or a Lopez down there. That wasn't the story last night. Is that something they need to kind of rely on, or were you surprised we didn't see a lot of that there?
Well, again, Giannis is going to have to score in the 30-point range for them to, have those points in the paint, have more points in the paint than the Suns. And then, they shot the three well. They shot 44% from three, which, I think Phoenix is going to have to tighten up that defense, especially with Middleton. But when Giannis is not, his normal self, and if he's going to score 20 points the rest of this series, this series may be over sooner than later. And he struggled again a little bit from the line, 7 for 12. But I think the defense from the Suns, Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, Ayton, the Suns got out rebounded, so they're going to have to show up their rebounding, because you don't want to give Milwaukee any points in the paint on a second chance point. So I think, it's all going to depend on Giannis, and also Drew Holiday. He's still been a little up and down throughout this playoffs. He's going to have to get some points in the paint for the Bucks to be successful.
I was going to ask you that. Who needs to step up outside of Drew and Giannis? If you're looking at the Bucks roster, if they want to have a chance in this series, who needs to kind of take it to the next level here?
I think it's Brook Lopez. I think Brook Lopez, sure, he made a few threes last night, but I think Brook Lopez has to be dominant inside. He's got to get inside and mix it up. He's got to be able to attack Ayton, especially when Ayton is on him. He's just standing out behind the three-point line again. But he's got to get inside, mix it up, similar to the way that he did in Game 4 against the Atlanta Hawks. And then I would say a close second behind him, as I alluded to earlier, Drew Holiday's got to play like an all-star, especially defensively on Chris Paul. Chris Paul just destroyed the Milwaukee Bucks middle pick and roll defense. So I think Drew Holiday on the defensive end, Drew Holiday attacking the basket, making a few threes. He can't be just average in this series, not the NBA Finals on this stage.
Yeah, Drew Holiday, of course, got paid a lot of money to come in and be that guy, that offensive weapon. As you mentioned, one of the best defensive guys in the league when you ask people around the NBA. All right, real quickly before I let you go, Coach, Game 2, the Suns opening 5.5 here against the Bucks. Who's your pick between these two here?
Well, I'm going Suns. I picked the Suns to win by double digits. I took the Suns in -6 in the first game. This is an easy one. This is the Suns again. They'll win by 10 or more points. I just don't think Milwaukee has enough firepower. Home court advantage. The crowd was insane. It was a raucous crowd. I mean, I've been coming to Phoenix since 1988 when I came in the NBA and playing in arenas in Phoenix. And the Phoenix arena was just tremendous. They were loud 45 minutes before the game. And that has a way of motivating a team. But I just think too much balance from the Suns. And the Suns make their free throws. I think that's not something that people want to talk a lot about, because it's all about threes and dunks in this new NBA, but they make their free throws. And that can maintain a run, keep the momentum, slow a run down from the Milwaukee Bucks. And Milwaukee Bucks' best player doesn't make his free throws.
All right. Coach Avery Johnson here. Question, you're going to be in the house for Game 2, right?
Oh, yeah. right next to Avery Jr.
Oh.
You go on social media and check us out. We had to do a little selfie. And Bill Ryder, my buddy Bill Ryder.
Hanging out. You guys get the best of Simon as always. Take care, my friend. Appreciate your time. Avery Johnson checking in. I wish we can go to the game, Tommy.
I know.
Out there
got the great gig, Coach.
You know, hanging out. You know, it's a fun time out there. So looking at the series, of course, game 2 Thursday, a little rest time. If you're the Bucks and Giannis, they're grateful for that. But then we go back to Milwaukee for 3 and 4, and then if necessary, 5, 6, and 7. Of course, Phoenix with a better record, so they'll get 2 out of the 3 later this month.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.